Hi students, this video will go over the solutions to the geometry TSI practice. Okay, for problem 1, exercise 1, this is our picture. It tells us that the lines are parallel, which is important. When we have a transversal that crosses parallel lines, we've got some congruent angles and some supplementary angles. These angles are going to be congruent, and then these angles are going to be congruent. So if they're not congruent, they're supplementary. So 120 and the x, I see these have different angle measures, so they're going to add up to 180. So what do I add to 120 to equal 180? That would be 60. So x is going to have a measure of 60 degrees. So the answer is B. For number 2, it says points A, B, and C lie on a straight line. So that means if this is my straight line, then these three angles are going to add up to 180. So we want to make an equation, 2x plus 3x plus x equals 180, and then solve for x before we go back and find the measure of angle ABE. So first we want to combine like terms. This x has a coefficient of 1. 2x plus 3x plus 1x is 6x. And then to get x by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 6. So x equals 30. But the answer is not asking for the value of x, it's asking for the measure of angle ABE. ABE is this angle here. That's the 2x and 3x together. So we're going to add 2x plus 3x, which is 5x. And now that we know that x is 30, we're going to put that where x is. So 5 times 30 equals 150 degrees, which is D, which makes sense because that 150 needs to add with this remaining x, which is 30, to equal 180, and it does. Okay, in this one we're looking for all of the answers that can equal A, except we want to find the one that does not equal A. So let's look at what we've got. I see this 30-degree angle. It's going to have the same measure as this C because these are vertical angles and they're always congruent. So that's 30. I see a few straight lines, so I know those angles can add up to 180. I see that I see that A and Y are equal because they're vertical. I see that X and B are equal because they're vertical. So let's see. One way I could find A, let's look at this straight line. So A is going to basically be equal to 180 minus B minus C. And I see that as answer choice D. I also know since B and X are the same, I could switch out the B here for an X. And since I know that C equals 30, I could switch out the C for 30. I could combine the 180 and the minus 30 to make 150 minus X. Well, I see that as answer choice B. And then let's see, we've got 150 minus B. Okay, so remember, X is also the same as B. So if I switch out X with B, then I'll get A. So the answer that did not equal A is going to be C. For number 4, it basically says that the three streets are all parallel. So I know that my angles are either going to be congruent or supplementary. So the angles that are congruent are going to be these angles, and then the other angles that are congruent are going to be these angles. So all the red ones are congruent, all the green ones are congruent, a red and a green are supplementary, add up to 180. So I can see my 67 is red, my X is green, So these are going to add up to 180. So all I have to do to figure out what x is subtract the 67 from both sides. So x equals 180 minus 67 is 113. So that's the value of x, which is C. And for number 5, it says we have a trapezoid, and we know that the top and bottom are parallel because it tells us, but we also know that about a trapezoid. So if I extend these bases, those are parallel lines, and then this leg, if I extend that, that's a transversal. So I know that I have, just like in the last couple examples, we've got some congruent angles and some supplementary angles. The congruent angles are going to be these angles, and the other congruent angles are going to be these angles. Remember, if they're different colors, they're going to add up to 180, so 58 plus this x are going to add up to 180. I also should remember that with trapezoids, consecutive angles on each leg are supplementary. Okay, so to solve this equation, we're going to subtract 58 from both sides. So x equals 180 minus 58 is 122. And that's that one. Okay, for exercise 2, here's example 1. First we need to mark our picture. It says that AB is congruent to BC. It says that AC equals 6 and BD equals 4. What is the perimeter of ABC? So that's of the whole triangle. So I only know one side of the triangle is 6. Now I can see I have 2 right triangles here, and because AB and BC are congruent, these right triangles are going to be congruent. So BD is going to bisect AC, which means these parts are each going to be 3. Now if I look at one of these right triangles, my A and my B are 3 and 4. So I should recognize that as a Pythagorean triple, which means my side C is going to be 5 for both of the right triangles. So my perimeter is just 5 plus 6, which is 16. So the answer to number 1 is 16. Now if you forgot about this triple, you would want to use Pythagorean theorem with the 3 and the 4. So your A would be 3, your B would be 4, and we don't know C. So we would write down our Pythagorean theorem. We're going to put in the numbers we know. A is 3, B is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 9 plus 16 is 25. When you get down to a variable squared equals a number, you want to take the square root of both sides. The square root of c squared is c. The square root of 25 is 5. So that's how you would get that side c there. Okay, for number 2, we have a rectangular canvas. It is 30 inches by 40 inches. And it wants to know the area in square inches. So this one, the answer choice is not there because area is just length times width, right? So 40 times 30 is my area, which is 1,200 inches squared. And that answer is not there, but this is definitely the answer. Okay, for number 3, we have a rectangular piece of plywood. It has a length 3 times as long as the width, but we don't know the width. So let's call the width W, and if the length is 3 times that, we can call the length 3W. All that we know is the area is 75 square feet. So area of a rectangle is length times width. In this case, our length is 3W, our width is W. So 3W times W is 3W squared. And we know the area equals 75, so we just have to solve for W. So first we need to get the W squared by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by the 3. and then we're going to have 25 on the left, w squared on the right. Whenever you have a variable squared equals a number, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So that means w equals 5. So that is now the width. So the width is 5, and the length is 3 times the width, or 3 times 5, which would be 15. So the question now says, what is the perimeter? I'm going to add up the 4 sides. 5 plus 15 plus 5 plus 15 equals 40 feet. For number 4, volume of a rectangular solid or any kind of prism, sorry, not any kind of prism, a rectangular solid is length times width times height. We are given all 3 of those measurements, so we're just going to plug them in. We can multiply them in any order. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So our volume is 24 units squared, which is C. Okay, for this problem we have a cylindrical hot tub. The top has a diameter of 6 feet, which means its radius is 3 feet. It tells us the depth is 5 feet, but we're not concerned with volume of this. We just want to purchase a circular tarp large enough just to cover the top. So the top is going to be a circle, and it says it can hang over no more than 6 inches. So it's going to kind of like come down to the side. That means there's going to be a little extra bit around here. That's 6 inches or half a foot. So if my radius is 3 feet and this is 0.5 feet, then together my radius is 3.5 feet. So they want to know how much to cover. How much will this cover? So this is going to be dealing with area. So area of a circle is pi r squared. We don't have pi in any of our answers, so we need to replace it with 3.14. So 3.14, radius is 3.5 squared. We just need to simplify this. So first, 3.5 times 3.5 is 12.25. So 3.14 times 12.25 equals 38.465. That's the area, and that's going to be square feet. It says, of the following available round tarp sizes, which one should she buy? She doesn't want it to overlap more than 6 inches. This is exactly 6 inches. So we don't want to choose anything bigger because that would overlap too much. 44 is way too big. 28 is way too small. So 36 is the one just below 38. So the answer to 5 is B. So those are all those questions solved out. If you still have a question, please come find me.